Ready to get growing without breaking the bank? Today, we're going to cover the must-have gear and the stuff you can skip. But before we do,
today's video is brought to you by Real Grow Lab. If you want to connect with the best growers from all over the world, get tips and tricks on how to grow the dankest plants possible, and not have to worry about the censorship we get from YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Go check out realgrowlab.com. Get all kinds of great Grow Talk Q&A. Plus, see all the stuff YouTube won't let me show you in these videos. Sign up and join our growing community over at realgrowlab.com. Or download the app at the Apple or Android App Store. Now let's get back to today's video.
all right, Hi C, this is exciting because for a few $100s, you can get a legit setup. We walked in here and you looked at something that was on the counter. You go, did you grow this? I go, yeah, I did, man. You can grow really good stuff with the Simple Tent.
Yep, and I think that this can also be a little bit intimidating when you're looking at all the stuff and you don't know what to buy and you don't know what's essential and what's not what's a nice to have. So let's break it down for the viewers.
Absolutely. You know I'm a fan of AC Infinity. Do we start with the AC Infinity tent kits?
Yeah, let's start with grow tents because you've got an AC Infinity, and then right next to it, you've got a not AC Infinity.
Yeah, and the one is a glorified, it's a closet rack is what it is. You can say it's the same closet racking you get at Walmart with a tent wrapped around it, and it just sags, and it's just not good. So I have the AC Infinity. They took the time and made a good quality product. It comes with the light. It comes with a temperature and humidity controller and sensor, and it comes with a carbon filter, which is a big deal. So, yeah, it's pretty easy.
Okay, so let's start with that. Why do I want to make sure that you mentioned temperature, humidity?
Sure.
Why is that so important when picking out what gear I'm going to set up my grow in?
That's going to be where you either hold your terpenes and cannabinoids or let them just volatilize off into the air. So you need some kind of a sealed environment. So even a 2-foot by 4-foot tent, then we can get the right temperature and we can get the right humidity.
Okay, and I've been to the AC Infinity site. Not a sponsor of the show, by the way, just a product that we're really happy with. I have noticed that they also have lights, and they have a bunch of different lights.
Sure.
And so I'm wondering, does light matter to the type of tent or the size of tent that you grow?
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, the amount of light, the temperature, the humidity, all those things are going to determine how many trichomes, how big they are, if there's anything left inside of them. So yeah, light is huge. Light is the energy. You've got carbon, CO2. Light is going to give the energy to rip that carbon off and then fix it to the plant, build plant material out of it. So the light is our energy.
And is it pretty standard? Like I just look at the size of the tent and then the size foot by foot of the light and it'll be pretty matched up? Or how do I determine what light I need to get?
They do a pretty good job. I would start with something like AC Infinity. Look what they pair their kits with. You know, they're trying to get you the most bang for the buck.
And I guess before we kind of go any further, you said pair. I've seen that they have kind of like an all-in-one. Dang, I feel like we're shilling for AC Infinity, but they're so good.
It is the tent. If I was going to tell you to get stuff without a bunch of BS, I would say just go get their basic setup with light, fan, filter, and the tent, and then take it from there.
Okay, and so that brings us to the next one. An essential, an exhaust fan, and a carbon filter. Why is that so important?
Because it will smell. Okay. First off, you don't want it. Just because you're growing a little 2x4 doesn't mean it has to. You have to scream it. You know. So yeah, you can have a 2x4, and if you've got a carbon filter and a fan, it is non-obtrusive. You can keep it in your living room,
and it won't stink it out when guests come over or anything like that.
Somewhat, yeah. And then don't forget, a big deal is environment is huge. We talk about lights, but environment is really, you've got these cannabinoids and these terpenes, and they can volatilize off. They can go out into the air if the environment's not right. So by having that controller, you're able to control the temperature and the humidity just by sucking that air out and then replacing it with the ambient air in your lung room. And by the way, fancy word for saying the room you put your tent in.
Gotcha. What about What about the media? I know that there's people have their different preferences, and it's kind of like a religion thing.
Sure.
What do you think for a new grower is the easiest and best media to plant your plants in?
So if you watched any of these shows before, you'll know that I grow in cocoa. It's called cocoa core. It's literally when they're making the coconut water or harvesting these coconuts, the stuff that they're peeling off, that is super airy and just holds a lot of air and holds a lot of water. So it's really forgiving. The biggest problem that you can have as a grower, or one of the biggest problems, is overwatering. Cocoa is really good about resisting overwatering. So that's why I like to recommend it.
And real quick, I know we've had problems buying some cheap cocoa online. And it sucked up the nutrients. What's going on there?
Cocoa is, they're grown by the beach. They're grown in salt water for the most part, or right by salt water. So if you think fresh water, a lot of these places where coconuts are being harvested, fresh water is a big deal there. Mm-hmm. So to wash the coconuts thoroughly so that I don't have much salt or EC when I test it in my grow. Let's just say that might not be some of the brand's top priorities. So always go with a really good brand, one that's going to double or triple, or I think they say sometimes 6 times washed. But
you got me hooked on Canna Cocoa. Again, not a sponsor of the show, just a
correct
good recommendation.
If you want a place to start, and so you can take cocoa out of your potential problems. Yeah, get some Canna Cocoa. You know that if you have a problem with your plant at that point, it's not the cocoa. It's another variable.
All right, so the must-haves: a good quality tent, carbon filter, good lights matched to your tent, and a good growing media like Cocoa Core. What are some of the things that I might end up wasting money on that I don't really have to worry about right away?
Man, the low-hanging fruit is the bloom boosters.
Boosters.
Yeah, just because there's so much snake oil, because there was such huge profit margins, and they were selling to non-growers. They were selling to consumers, cannabis consumers. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff, a lot of trickery that they would do, and it's just not worth it. Those bloom bud igniters for $150 or $200 for the little bottle, it's not worth it. You can grow really great cannabis. I just proved it to you over there with the basics. Just stick to the basics. And the basics are NPK. It's your macros, your micros, and your secondary elements, man. That's it. Secondary nutrients. It's and nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, your calcium and magnesium, your sulfur, and then all the micros, man. So it's not, you don't need these crazy chemicals to get this all done.
Okay, so I remember the first time I wanted to get into growing, and I started looking at nutrients, and I saw these lines that were like 12, 15 bottles.
Sure.
And it intimidated me and put me off of growing for a long time. What about that stuff? Was I wrong for that?
No, I mean, there was a lot of marketing that went into this in the beginning. So you had a lot of, why sell them 12 bottles if you can sell them 15? I imagine that was some of the business mindedness that went on. Now prices are down, and when it's $4,800 a pound, maybe there's something there. But when it's whatever it is, $600 a pound, you want to grow really good quality very efficiently without all the gimmicks.
So obviously, I'm a Grow Dots grower. I love using Grow Dots. I get everything I need.
Sure.
There are other options out there, though. What's one of your favorite easy to get into nutrient lines?
Canna, A and B, and those are friends of mine. I've been friends with Chet from Canna for years, but he got me on the good cocoa, and then he got me as equal parts A and B. You go buy these 5-liter bottles, and you pour equal parts in there. Man, it's easy.
So you don't need to waste money on the 15 bottles. You can get a single thing like Grow Dots, or you can go get a 2-step thing like Canna, and you'll be good.
Correct. You might want to get some CalMag. That's the only thing. You may need CalMag.
All right, let's talk about equipment, because there's a lot of equipment out there, and personally, being involved in your world, I've seen a lot of people overbuy. I don't know if that's the right word, but buy stuff that's more than what they need.
Yeah, you have to match this up. So the idea with the light is it has energy, and it's ripping the carbon off the CO2 and making plant material out of it. So you have to match that up. If you're spending a whole bunch of money on that light, and you got tons of energy, but you ran out of CO2, well, what good is that? If you're blasting the CO2, but you don't have enough light, energy to rip that off. Well, then what good is that? So everything does have to be matched.
Okay. And so then on the opposite side, don't overbuy, but also I see a lot of people make the other mistake where they buy stuff they just have to end up replacing because they underbought.
Yep. What do they say? Buy once, cry once, right?
I'd rather buy once and not cry at all.
But meaning you buy something that's very expensive and it lasts you for years and years, as opposed to buying there's things that I've bought every 6 months, you know? Mm-hmm. Should be able to sue Harbor Freight for that.
Yeah. So the way that I kind of look at it is it's an investment. I'm not going to... If I invest in some cheap quality stuff and I really enjoy doing something,
Yep.
I'm going to end up having to replace all that and double, maybe triple what I invested. And better to start off good.
Buy once, cry once. Now it makes sense, man. Hindsight. Bro.
There you go. Okay. Next thing, I don't do this in my grow, and I still get some decent good buds out of there. But you are a big fan of this, and this is kind of like a nice to have, or once you got everything dialed in, this is the cherry on top. What am I talking about?
CO2. If you can invest in CO2, if you're making a sealed grow room, where you need a sealed grow room with air conditioning and a dehumidifier probably, but if you can invest in that, CO2 is a huge upgrade. Carbon is what is taken out. The carbon is taken out of the CO2, and it is just directly fixed and made plant material. They make plant material out of it. So that is the biggest bang for the buck. As long as you have enough light, adding more CO2 is a really good a good spend, as long as you have a sealed environment. But that is just my take. What about you? What are some essential purchases for your grow? And what have you wasted money on? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, share it with a new grower you know. And check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommended. I know you're going to dig them.